Hi, everybody. This is Miranda, and I am here representing both Anarchapulco's Conversations in Anarchy and my own podcast, What the Fuck Was That? Um, I have recently started this venture with the goal of capturing some of the amazing conversations I have with people I love. Partially thanks to Anarchapulco, I have amassed a worldwide family of people that are just incredible that not enough people know about. And I am super excited for today's conversation. A lot of people ask me on a pretty regular basis. They look at me now and they look at me back in 2018 and they go, how do you go from that to this with everything that's happened? And for me, there have been a lot of people that have been guardian angels in that regards. And one of the biggest guardian angels in that regards is who we have today. This is Vistara or Cris Shanti, depending on who's talking to her. But this woman for me has been a surrogate mom. She has been a friend. She's been almost like a sister. She's been a mentor. And her place in Acapulco, which is where we've hosted a lot of our Anarchawakening retreats, including one that's coming up, it's been a safe place for me and many people in the community to have a place to both fall apart and put ourselves back together. So I want to say, Vistara, gracias, and thank you for being here. And I just want to start by asking, how are you? How's your day?
Wow. Well, thank you for this amazing introduction. Hello, everybody. I'm so excited to be here. Thank you for the invitation to speak up and speak out. Today is actually an amazing day. I just had a beautiful cacao ceremony with like a birthday celebration, but more than that, it's celebrating just every day and being so grateful for being alive. And this place is so vibrant with so much energy, and that's where I'm speaking from today to
Yeah,
connect
you're
with
in the Palapa, the beloved Palapa, where I've gone many a times begging for smoothies after Temescals, etc.
you. Exactly. It's this little bar, we call it the island, where yes, there's delicious smoothies and delicious food and acai bowls and whatever is really coming out fresh from the centers. We also call it the heart. It's like the heart of the whole space because everything gathers around here and very deep conversations also because everyone comes here and pours out their heart. So beautiful.
Yeah.
So grateful for that. Yeah.
Yeah, so I wanna we had you as a guest on the Nonconformist series last year this time, and it was really like a documentary that you and I kind of co-created together a little bit, which we'll be posting on the Anarchapulco channels next week publicly so people can see it. But I wanted to kind of go back to that, the root of Bambuddha, and I wanted to bring attention to the fact that like a lot of people they think tropical areas and they think it's just so lush and everything's growing, but for the most part, especially in that part of the country, if you don't plant things, they don't really grow beyond weeds, like all the palm trees you see behind you and then all the palm trees on the property. I didn't realize until making that video with you that, oh wait, you mean those palm trees that I hug every time I come out of the Temescal trying to hold on for dear life? Those weren't there before you. Those are in essence your child. So I just
Yeah.
want to know what it's like to wake up every morning and look out and see all that beauty, but knowing that you curated every bit of it. Like, how does that feel?
Yeah. Thank you. That's very important because yes, definitely that video is coming out and I have to go back and have a look because it's like I don't talk about all so many things like that like publicly, although I have no problem with it in the sense of there's no secrets, but there's a lot of information in there that you're probably going to be hearing and that is enlaced, deeply enlaced in the roots of Bambuddha, and there was nothing here. So yes, all the plants, all the palm trees, they've all grown with us. They are all our children. Let's say all the palm trees, I hug them every day, especially after Otis and the hurricanes. It's like I hug them every day. They were our saviors. They're our guardians. And to wake up to it every morning, it's just a big thank you. A big thank you. It's curating them. How? By talking to them, by walking barefoot every day and feeling the earth and pulsating with the earth, and through deep ceremony and all the practices that we do here. It's it's just such an amazing place to be. And I believe more people should walk on it barefoot and feel the
I
earth
know
of
when I
this
go to
land.
Bambuddha, I do not wear shoes. I never wear shoes. Um, you said once, and I want to touch on this because I think it's important. You said once in an Anarchapulco speech that you started Bambuddha, you opened a retreat center, so you had a place to heal yourself and retreat to. Like, can you explain more of what that means and how it has built what Bambuddha is today as sort of a symbol of healing?
Yeah. So we all come from different paths and different walks of life, and where it takes us around the planet is so amazing. For me, after living, yeah, all over and being the pilot and flying the skies and then needing a place to root somehow, to find my roots in a way, because I lived in a camper for many years with my plane on the back, and it's like, what is the perfect way? That was the perfect way. It's like just living in the camper and having the plane on the back and traveling through all Central America was like the way. And then when that way had to stop, and I realized I needed some roots because of all these situations that had happened, I just needed to root and calm my waters. My waters were like, there was a constant hurricane inside, and all the losses, and there was a lot going on in those days. So I said, okay, I'll just root my plane, the hangar on the beach. It's like another dream come true. So I mean, I managed to do that at a very young age. Many people want this in their older ages. It's like, they want to like retire at the beach. So I managed to do it already at an early age. So in a way, I've grown into and out of it. And yes, I have healed my deepest wounds here. And so definitely, how do we heal our deepest wounds? In what way? I mean, call it ceremony, call it ritual, call it walking barefoot, call it being in community, being embraced, call it good food, nurturing yourself in a physical, emotional, mental, spiritual way. Call it whatever works for each and one of us. But definitely getting into the earth, crying with the earth, loving the earth, thanking the earth, laughing with the earth, screaming at the ocean, walking with it, letting myself be embraced with the nature of this place, finally got me through. And that's how many, many people are feeling attracted to the space to heal their own deepest wounds. And that has become more and more clear over the last 3, 4, 5 years. And it's so important to understand. There's more and more sanctuaries like all over, but that's where I'm coming from. That's really where my deepest, sharing comes from, that the space exists
So they're
to do
like,
that.
I know there are a lot of people, they come to Mexico, they go to various places, a lot of them go to Cancun and it's interesting because I visited places in Cancun area that tried to have the same vibe, but it didn't feel the same. It didn't have the same heart. And for me in particular, I had heard about Bambuddha from afar, like not afar, but within the community, but I never found my way there until after the murder. And it was about 6 weeks after the murder, I showed up fresh out of a police altercation for my very first Temescal. And I've told this story on stage. I've told this story to many people, but I want to tell it here because, like, that was my introduction to you. That was my introduction to Bambuddha. And that was really the start of my healing, like, because I was in survival mode completely 100% after the murder. And everybody was very much like, they were coddling me, it was very much like, oh, poor Lily, wow, poor Lily, just, let's just take care of you. And then I walk on the Bambuddha and I'm like, okay, let's see what this is about. And I was like yelling during that time of class, I was like, get me the fuck out of here. It's like, this is worse than jail. This is this is jail and you are the warden and you won't let me out and I hate it here. And I was mad. But I think I needed to be mad, right? I felt bad for the other people that were because there were a lot of people in that Temescal with us. And you were just patting me on the shoulder like it's okay, it's okay. And I was just like, what the fuck is this? And then it was like within a week of that, maybe I'd come back for a yoga class for my first yoga class. And regardless of skill level, you really try to like get people to at least attempt to do some sort of head down position, usually assisted by you. And I was like, you want me to do a headstand? And I've never even done yoga. What is wrong with you? What is wrong with this? And I was so mad, but I had a lot of respect and love. And I was like, wow, this place is beautiful. And I was like, that woman, she's intense and she kind of scares me, but there's something there, right? And I think I came back for Kat's wedding. And for people that don't know, you can get married at Bambuddha, and it is the most beautiful ceremony I've witnessed. Like I I came away from it saying, okay, if I get married, I would like to get married there because of the way that it was done. It was a small wedding and it was not the traditional, like, let's walk down the aisle and make these vows. It was very and I suspect depending on who you're helping to get married, the ceremony is a little different, right? But and then I didn't come by for a couple of years because I didn't come to Anarchapulco in I think I did visit, but very briefly, but I didn't come to Anarchapulco in 2022. And then in 2023, I returned and I had been in circus for, 2 years and I felt strong and I was like, I'm here, I'm ready to conquer Bambuddha. And then yeah, and then that next Temescal, I was in the Temescal essentially hugging you and crying, saying thank you for being hard on me. Because that you weren't ever mean, but you were definitely like you saw me and you were like, you're stronger than this. Come on, get up, get up and get moving. And nobody else had the guts to be like that with me after the murder. And so I do want to touch on that, and I'm curious as to what your thoughts were when you first met me, and how do you think I'm doing now at this point? I'm no longer the little like weakling looking for all the sympathy, right?
Yeah. Oh wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. I totally remember that first Temescal. I mean, and yes, and I'm very sorry if I came on like hard or mean or but I was like, whack her ass. It's like, like, okay, this is like we're gonna push through this. So probably because of resonating, of having had my own losses, obviously very different. And, in the sense of there's a part of me that resonated with you there. And having seen how I pushed through it, that's how I feel you came to me in a way, energies attract one another. So that's how I felt I could accompany you and not being hard. But yeah, I mean, some people they do say that about me. They oh my God, you seemed so hard at the beginning, and then we get in touch with that loving part and the love and being able to really move forward in a loving relationship. And but the beginning can be very like
Well,
turbulent.
when you're used to people just kind of coddling you and letting you stay in your like little victim mindset and stuff, it can feel hard. I never thought you were mean, like I wouldn't have come back, but I definitely was like, damn.
Yeah. Well, it's like I feel it's a little bit my mission, or that's why I've been giving these tools to, like it's like a wake up call. It's like, yes, it's all right to be coddled, and I love doing that also, and we know who to do that with. But other people, it's like shaking your tree. It's like, come on, wake up, like get out of there, move on. And no, I mean, I am amazed at where you were there and where you are now, and it's just amazing the transition and the beauty shining through you and everything you've accomplished. And there's especially that one that you shared, like the 20 different ways of, I don't know if it's 20 or more, of how you got through these last years and little work, different ways of earning money, or you had that podcast and you
Right,
wrote about
right,
it.
where I was talking about how I tried to monetize everything I like to do. Yeah.
Exactly. That's so amazing. I love it. I love it. It's like, wow, she's doing it. Thank you for sharing it, because it also looks, it lets me look how I did it, or even now with Ananda, with my daughter. And so thank you for sharing that. And you've come such a long way. And I admire you. Really. You're great.
Well, I
So
really appreciate it because yeah, and you're right. Like, I want to make sure that the people watching this understand that, like, I personally, when I came into your field, I needed toughness. I needed somebody to tell me to stand up. And like, I've been forever grateful for that. But also, there's been times where I've just needed love from you, and you're pretty good at tuning into that and just helping that, like, and it's interesting because the conference, as we know, has moved out of Acapulco, but I have told many people that as long as Bambuddha exists and you and Christian are there, I will keep returning to Acapulco for that alone. Like, I feel energetically done with the city of Acapulco itself because a lot of things happened there, but I don't know if I'll ever truly be done with Bambuddha. And for that, like, one thing I want to talk about first, there's two things, well, there's 3 points. One, to share you with the people that I love. Two is to promote the retreat that we're going to do together for Thanksgiving as part of
yeah.
Anarchawakening and Anarchapulco. And three is to talk about your, like, longer residencies. On the first note, when I was finishing that documentary video thing that I made with you from Nonconformist series, my dad was in town and I was working little bits on that, and I ended up playing it for him. And he was just like, the whole time he kept having me pause and was asking me questions. And he's like, "So you spend time here?" And I'm like, "Yeah." And he's like, "How do I get there? I like her. She's cool." And I'm like, "Well, of course, and I hope that the people that watch that on the Anarchapulco channel, and I will put a link in the description of this, and we will be sharing that a lot. I hope that those people really, really get that same message out of it, because it is not simply a place to go and hang out on a beach. It is not simply a place to go and even do ceremonies or yoga. Like, those are part of it, but it is home for a lot of us, and a lot of our staff retreats have happened on that. A lot of my biggest breakthroughs as a person have happened on that property, and there's something otherworldly and magical, and I think it is, obviously a lot of it's your doing, but a lot of it's also Christian. He built a lot of those, or all of them, maybe all the
Of
buildings
course.
by hand.
Yeah.
And your team, you have this team of local people that are cooking and caring for the property. And I have never, even because I've had some tough times on the property, but I have never felt repelled by or unwelcomed by Bambuddha. And I think that's really important. And that, in essence, is why we used to have the VIP plus people when it was in Acapulco staying there. We used to do our annual retreats there. And for me, it was kind of sad to do it somewhere else because, like, I don't dislike PP, but it is not my favorite place in Mexico, and it doesn't have the same soul that that area in general has. So that is a thing. And I do want to touch real quick, like, you offer so many different things there, everything from all sorts of ceremonies, sound bath, like massages. You have a masseuse that comes in. You've done the cacao ceremonies. I've done one of those with you. The Temescals. You do treatments with I think, a PEMF machine. You're always adding things to what Bambuddha is. Um, and if there's one thing what is one thing that you wish everybody knew about what you have to offer? Because I think a lot of people, they're like, "Oh, they do yoga there," or, "Oh, that's where ceremonies happen." But what do you want people to know that ties all of that in about Bambuddha?
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. It's become a very, very versatile, and that's where I am right now. There's so many paths. Obviously, close to my heart is the whole creating that space and that environment of being able to accompany whoever is here on any path. So call it sitting with medicine on a one-on-one or in group, holding that space, or call it deep work on one-on-one with me, or done with all the other activities. So it's not only a yoga center, it's not only a ceremonial center, it's not only, that is all add-ons. And as a retreat center that it's become since 26 years. So it's like the retreats has been what is sustaining us, call it my own personal retreats or coming out from other activities and people wanting to be here, rent the place out for a retreat or co-creating. And having understood that after so many years now with holding space in that way, I've seen that actually a retreat of 3, 4, 5 days is actually not enough anymore. So my proposal is that we know that coming into a retreat, we need a few days before to unwind and do the retreat and then really to integrate. And most of the retreats that are coming like from Mexico City is just a ping pong in, out, and it's become like a gastronomical experience of, yeah, really great food and, as a group going down and practicing together. And so it's diverting a little bit into a funny direction, which is fine. It's a very healthy direction also. Nevertheless, for the movement of Bambuddha, and this is what I'm sharing and I want to share here with you and all of you, is the possibility, because we're diverting a little bit from that, too much, blah, 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 and all that into really a profound experience. So it's like the possibility now is open to stay longer. So call it a month, 2 weeks. I would rather have you here for a month, obviously, or 2 months or 3 months. Call it, I've had a couple from the Anarchapulco whole community already in for a couple of months, and I know the experience they've had and they've taken, and it's so gratifying. So I'm so thankful to have watched them in that process. And call it even during the pandemic, and people have just stayed here for months and seeing that process, and they're like, oh my gosh, thank you that this place exists. So what I'm trying to get at is, if you're an older person or you're a digital nomad, or it's because of health reasons, the climate here in Acapulco is just so amazing. Call it 2 weeks, or if you have a month or you have 2 months, if it's more in winter, or I understand now in summer, the climate is great wherever you are up in the north. Nevertheless, here the climate is great all year round. If you want to come in because of health reasons and do like a deparasitation or something really on a deeper health reason, that's what's calling you. Or if it's just here to write you a book, or just to relax and just have good food, or you want to do a fast, there's so many different ways. Or if one of you says, hey, my dad or my mom, I would really like them to be down there for months because they're so alone up there. So many people are so alone. And Bambuddha has 10 rooms, and we just embrace those people who need some time out. And that
Right.
is what I'm seeing now, is like, that's the miracle of what's happening right now. And yeah,
So
so
yeah,
thank
to
you.
support that, I think the most I've stayed at Bambuddha is like almost a week for the staff retreats. And I agree. I'm always left um when we go to leave to go back to Bonfield to continue working, because we tend to do that right before Anarchapulco, right? We come for a few days and we're working, and this part of why I wanted to do this was because I know in my heart that it's not simply just for like there's not expectations like you would expect. Because when people hear the word retreat, they're like, okay, there's a schedule. I have to follow the schedule and I have to give up all my life responsibilities for however much time. But what you're talking about is something different in that, you're right. Usually you need a couple days, you decompress, and then, every time right as I'm feeling decompressed, it's back to work, which that's just the way that my situation is. But there is something very attractive, and I've been interested in it, and I'm going to be finding ways to make it work for myself where, I mean, to come, there's internet at Bambuddha. You can continue to work if you're somebody like me and is kind of a workaholic, but there is a different vibe to working And I've sat the island, the Kodo zone that you're sitting at with my computer working for hours and hours before. So I do want to make sure that was a big part of why we wanted to do this talk, was to make sure that people know it is whatever you need it to be. If you need a place where you feel like you're at home and you're eating good food and you have daily yoga practice, but you're still working and keeping up with your responsibilities, you have that, right? For me, that's a big dream is I would love to just take my dad for a couple months and stay there with him because I just know he is going, like he's not, into yoga and all that, but there is something special, and I don't think he's ever had an experience at a place like Bambuddha. Most people have not, right? So there really is a option for anybody who's coming to do it. And I do know that there is, not everybody has the financial means, but also you have made it clear to me that there are ways if people just reach out to you to do work trades and other various sorts of, energetic exchanges to where both people feel, complete with it. And they're still getting to have that experience of actually being at Bambuddha for a long time. It's something that I want to do. So I'm curious as to that side of it. Like, obviously, finances are important. You have a full staff of people that you're supporting and have been supporting for decades. Bambuddha's been around like what, 27 years now at this point?
Yeah.
26
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
So,
So,
but also there is the understanding that financially the world is not, easy. So I guess that's my next question is for people who would be looking for a way to compensate Bambuddha in terms of their labor, what does that look like in terms of, what would people be doing? What type of help are you looking for if you were to do some sort of work trade type thing? And
yeah. Just to go back a little bit, also remembering we're actually not in Acapulco. We're like 30 kilometers
right,
out. And so really far down, 15-minute ride from the airport, from the bus stop. And, it's just on the near the highway in the sense of you don't even have to go into Acapulco. So that's just very
right.
important to also understand we're outside. And yes, definitely. I mean, it's like a whole mission with the local people. So during my years of flying, I used to always live like in the towns and be together with the locals and take them all up for free. And it was a lot of that. And depending on people who could sustain, because I mean, that's just what it is. Life is, we need to have a balance
And
and we all
about flying, a quick interruption, you mean that little plane, right? Because not
my
everybody
ultralight.
listening to this knows about the flying.
Yeah. Yeah, my ultralight. I used to be
Exactly.
pilot for 30 years, and that's actually how I found the place flying. And then I made my hangar here on the beach, and I'm just so sorry that you never got to get up with me in it. So you would have loved it. But anyway, so just to say that, we always live in this push and pull and this, Shiva Shakti energy, masculine, feminine, giving, receiving. And so Bambuddha obviously needs to have a sustaining, and I haven't dropped my staff once in 26 years. So every Sunday is payday. And as many people here, sometimes there's no money coming in, they just don't pay them. And they know my staff, most of them here have, they've been here with me 7, 8, 9, or 10 years. That's a long time, because usually there's a very quick staff, turning over. And here they understand that I'm not that sort of a person that will drop them, and but it has to carry on moving in some sort of way. Why am I saying all that? Because they know that every Sunday they're going to be paid, but that amount has to come in also. So about usually like a month stay is about 3,500 and 4,000, which would include already like food and lodging, and then other activities would be separate. And on a work exchange, they'd have to reach out privately to me. and see what ways we can, do exchanges with, or if you become like an ambassador, helping me, divulge the information so that it gets out there and become a Bambuddha ambassador so that we can have those 10 rooms. It's actually only 10 rooms to have 7 or 8 constantly full with an ambassador out there. That's the best way that you could work for Bambuddha.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's beautiful.
You
I
know,
think that Anarchapulco,
and then have a free stay.
yeah. Go ahead. Sorry, it got a little glitchy, so I thought you had stopped talking.
Yeah, it got a little glitchy there. Yeah, I mean, apart from like on-site working, obviously we have the whole staff doing what they're doing, but there's always something to do. I mean, for sure. And when I'm not here and whatever I need to know what you guys like doing or you can do and reach out to me personally. And for sure we can find ways of like paying half a stay or
Right.
we can talk.
Right. So I will put in the description, and then if anybody wants to reach out to me personally, I can put you in contact with Vistara to make sure that you can, explore that. A lot of people that come for Anarchapulco do have the means to kind of check out. And the amount you mentioned, like 3,500 US dollars for a month, like the level of comfort that you have in Bambuddha, that itself it's a very good price for having that level of tranquility on the beach for that long. It is truly special. And
I just want to add in there a little bit. If you're considering like what's going on right now, if you consider what's going on right now in Mexico City, where an apartment in La Roma in Condesa is going for 2.5, 3,000 US per month and doesn't include anything. It's like many people are working online. It's like, come on, guys, come here for that same price. You're going to be right on the beach. You can carry on working. You have all these beautiful activities and good food. So it's like understanding a little bit and what are we inverting, like wherever you are out there, as to money's worth a project.
right,
So they'd have to reach out to me, personally to see what budget we're, you want to come down for. Maybe you want to come down and immerse yourself in like the complete thing, then maybe the pricing will change a little bit, but the basic pricing of 3,500 to 4,000, yes, includes food and includes yoga. And then if you want to have like other extra activities like massages or like you want to do the whole detoxifying or the fast or the Temescal, then those are just additional little activities.
right, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can really go there and just live, or you can go there and fully, check into finding all the ways to detox your body and the mind and the spirit all at once, and it can be very all consuming. I have noticed that for some of our staff retreats. By the end of it, it's like, whew, this
Oof.
is this is something. But I have never left Bambuddha worse than I came. And I think that right there is an important thing to,
Yeah, that's
to
important.
touch on. And not only
Exactly.
that, but you are connected to so many people worldwide. Like you are the reason we have Bear Heart, and so many other people. Like I remember that sound bath lady with the beautiful ballerina lady that was like holding me and cradling me in the water. And I went into that like, oh, it was the sound, it was the water harp
Yeah, yeah, with
experience. And I went
beautiful.
into that and I was like, oh, I'm not really that into this stuff. Like, it's kind of weird. And then like I'm in it and I'm just like sobbing, being cradled by this woman I didn't know, but she was just so beautiful and she's wow. So I think that is also part of the treasure that is what you have to offer there, because it's not, you bring together so many amazing people
Yeah,
that
yeah.
just end up attracted there, right? And I had an interview with my favorite musician, Brother Ali, and one of the things he said to me that I think applies here is he said, you love me because I am you. I'm just like you. And you see me and you and I see you and me, and that's why we end up connected. And I think that the same is, with Bambuddha. I do remember when I met you, I was intimidated by you, but I was also like, I would like to be like that at some point, just like this unwavering, just strong, here you can do it, because you were never rude to me. You were never like harsh. But you also like when I was like complaining and whining, oh, I can't do this, I can't do this. You were just like, yes, you can. Yes, you can.
You can. Yes,
Yeah,
you
you
can. Of
can.
course. Yeah.
And it pissed me off. I was like, no, I can't, like you don't understand. And you were like, yes, I do.
Yeah.
But the magic, like I think deep down, it's not like you were keeping me actually prisoner. If I had tried to get out of that Temescal ceremony truly, it's not like you're gonna hold me by my hair and not let me leave, right?
No.
It was an emotional thing that I was going through with that.
Yeah.
So so to be clear, and this is another question when we were talking about doing this interview, this is a question that I had had and people in general, is because we had sent out an email saying that these long stays residencies, if you will, are opening up in June. But what wasn't clear to me and what I want to make clear to everybody watching this is not simply a scheduled thing where it's only June and then it's only, I don't know, December and then it's only that. It is a situation to where if you feel called to truly spend time and to find a place of actual peace and strength, you can go at any point that there is availability, make an agreement with Vistara on what it is that you're wanting, whether it's just to stay there and work or to really immerse yourself. You can do that at any point and you can completely tailor it to what you need as far as time spent, how deep you go. And it's also, from my understanding, you can show up just wanting to stay and change your mind partway through of like, no, I'm deciding I want to go deep. Or you could show up wanting to go deep and be like, I need a minute, right? Is that am I understanding correctly how these work?
Yes. Yes, definitely. So actually, I think my message came out a little bit. I was just so excited that we're doing it. So I said 10 spaces are available in June, but I guess the information didn't come out correctly. It's like starting from June. So please, from June on, which is now, and it is July and August, September, October. Yes, in October, November, December, we have a couple of retreats already coming up. So that would be coming into the retreats. And actually, we have an amazing one, November 22nd to 29th. Beautiful gratitude gathering, which we're going to talk about in a moment. So that's coming in. So either it's coming in and then staying longer, or already like visualizing even before the next conference. You want to be here for a month or two and then drift into the conference, or maybe coming out of the conference and spending some more time here in Mexico. So it's up to you to find the correct time, but we're already available for that. And yes, going deeper, or if you want to stay surface, it's just up to you. Everybody's in their own process.
Right,
That's where we
right,
are to receive you in your own
right.
yeah.
So on that, like, I do want to make the note that part of the magic of the Anarchapulco crowd and how it's affected some of us so deeply, me and Kat, some of the other ones were kind of like lifers in the Anarchapulco community. And part of what attracted me to the community from afar before I ever came here was there was very much the vibe of like people were coming for the conference and then they were not leaving, right? Or they were coming a few months before and spending time in Mexico before. And I do really want to encourage people, either before or after Anarchapulco, to actually come and experience life in Mexico. And I'm not talking going to Tulum and being at some like, beach party resort, right? And they have their places and they're beautiful and they're artistic. But like if you want to truly experience Mexico, a place like Bambuddha is perfect because it is comfortable, it is homey, and it is not simply this touristic um vibe that so many people end up getting immersed in when they come here. A lot of people end up really separated from the culture. And I do think that the perfect time is whenever it works for you. But if you're somebody who travels around the world and spends a few months here and a few months there, why not Bambuddha? And something else I wanted to touch
Yeah.
on is a lot of people, they're like, oh, okay, well, ceremonies happen there or whatever. And so, but I have a family, I have kids, I have a husband. And so they think that it's not a place that welcomes, all different types of people, families, walks of life. And so I did want to ask on that, like, um, I know the answer, but for the sake of the audience, our family's welcome. Can you come down
Oh,
here
yeah.
with your three kids and stay for 3 months? Or does it need to be, just you focusing on your own stuff and stepping away from all of that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. In retreats, obviously there's retreats focused on certain aspects of what we're working with, but now with the long stays, welcome, of course. Actually, we have a dear VIP lady who was here last year. She couldn't come. She was here 2 years ago and she came with her two daughters and they love it. And I know they're coming back. And she's asked me many times, she wanted to stay for 3 months. I couldn't accept her last year because we had all these retreats in between and she's like, oh, but I mean, the girls were so happy here, and yes, I mean, people do come. We do a lot of like social work and seeing, so the kiddies can also help. On the beach, there's a lot to do, and collecting rubbish and little activities so that they can all participate. The beach needs a lot of attention and love. So they're always gonna find a way of finding something to do in nature. It's like some people say, "Oh my God, are they going to be bored there?" No, no, no. They're never going to be bored here. So yes, very welcome. As long
Yeah.
as they,
On that note, our producer Kat from Anarchapulco, anybody that's come to Acapulco, they've met little Josie, and Josie, in a lot of ways, has grown up at Bambuddha. Like she's been coming there since she's 2 or 3 months old throughout her whole life. And you're right, I've never seen Josie bored there between the pool and the beach and the sand and the food and when mom's doing yoga, she's coming in and out and like
yeah.
it truly is a kind of a magical place for children. In a lot of ways, it's a place where anybody can come and sink into being a child, but you can also relax into it, like regardless of whatever age you are. There is that fun side to it.
I mean, I do have it like a consciousness, healing, creativity space, retreat space. So we're all on the consciousness level, whatever that means for everybody. But knowing we're all from the same community and what we want for our kids. So growing up in an area like this where all this is available, then of course welcome. As long as the only thing I always ask for, is to keep the vibe of Bambuddha. So Bambuddha is obviously a vibe, let's say, of no smoking in here, no music boxes, no ice boxes. So that's why it's clean of that energy. It's very clean energy. So as long as the kids don't throw stones into the pool or, all that sort of stuff, then
Right. Don't
obviously
damage the
welcome.
property,
Yeah,
don't
don't,
damage the space.
yeah, in the sense of, being gentle with the plants and, we talk to nature and I think for kids it's so amazing to see that and to grow up with that. So there's definitely a lot of teaching for kids also, kids and parents at the same time.
It's
Yeah.
also, at least, I mean, you've let me bring my cat and my dog there,
Oh
and
yeah.
and as long as the animals are similar to the kids, not destroying, the grass or the property or whatever, animals are also welcome to,
Also,
and honestly, like it is. I'm always joking because the last time I came, I brought my cat and your tiger striped cat, I forget his name, is the boy.
like
Well,
Jactito. Yeah.
Shaquito, yeah. Well, he won the heart of my girl cat, and she's indoors, and he's outside just like wooing her outside the window, and she's just like And like I tell her all the time, okay, Chunky, we're gonna go back to Bambuddha soon and you can see your boyfriend. And she's just
That's
like,
so funny. Yeah.
because they did have a sort of a bond, and when we were leaving and I had her in her carrier and it was like that carrier that could be opened up and she was just kind of laying there and he was laying up against the carrier because it was the closest he could get to her. Um, but yeah, it is I have so many stories of like so many different experiences, like of course, going there after the murder, of course, going there for Anarchapulco. And when I had my breakup with my ex 3 years ago, Emma was like, I'm going to Bambuddha for a massage. And I was like, I'm coming with you. And I spent the whole day there crying on the beach, crying to you, talking to Bearheart, just finding my inner strength of like, I don't have to sit in situations that don't help me. I don't have to be. And I remember in that too, like that was another situation where with you and me, we had that blend of like, because I wanted to partake in ceremony that year and he wouldn't let me. And you were like, are you making this choice for yourself or you're making this choice for him? And I think it's important that you're, aware of
Okay.
that.
I'm on a live call here. Excuse me. Yeah, sorry, there's a bit of noise in the background.
Oh, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah, no worries.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
It is a lively and vibrant place, and there are people coming and going and cooking food and eating food and all
Yeah.
sorts of things. So that's no problem at all. But so I want to
Right.
move on and I want to talk about the gratitude gathering a little bit. Are you there? I
I,
think
I
I did
wanted
break
to
up.
point out something that you mentioned before. You still hearing me?
I can hear you, but I
Can
can't
you
see
hear
you.
me?
There you are. You're coming back now.
Oops, you're going there. Okay. Yeah, something that you pointed out before, definitely. So this is obviously an all-round place in the sense of it's not only me at the front, Christian, yes, my husband, who's made everything with his hands, the whole team. So, the whole team, everybody in his way. There's so many different artists and friends and all sorts of beings that have walked in and out of this space that all together make the vibe of Bambuddha. So yes, whatever you're aiming at or looking for, it is an all-round place. And as long as I'm still here, I really welcome you to come in and experiment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing I do appreciate is you have your own vibe, you have your own things that you offer, but you do also open the space up for collaboration and for doing different things. Like you and I have talked about doing circus retreats. I've left my circus structure there.
Yes.
We've talked about doing all sorts of things. And one thing I'm really excited for is you had mentioned it previously, the gratitude gathering. This is from November 22nd to 29th in in Bambuda. And I've been telling Kat for years, and Kat, she agreed with me, but it was one of those things where we were building the team, we were building the structure and how we do things. And every year I'm like, we need to just have just retreats at Bambuda, like not attached to Anarchapulco, because it can be a little intense to go deep in a retreat and then either go and work at Anarchapulco if it's a staff retreat, or to be in the case of the retreats that we have as part of Anarchapulco, generally it's people coming in throughout Anarchapulco. So they go to Anarchapulco and then they come in for, bufo or combo ceremony and then they go back into Anarchapulco, or they're exhausted from Anarchapulco and then they go into the retreat after for a couple of days for the more intensive retreats. And those experiences have changed at this point hundreds of lives. And I think there is a value in having just its own standalone thing that really, there's nothing before or after as far as Anarchapulco is concerned. So people can come weeks before that retreat, settle into the space for as long as they need to, and stay afterwards, but really we can have the focus be on the retreat itself, on the container, with less of the distractions of, oh, but there's this party over here, and there's this thing happening, and there's this person talking and on the stage or whatever, right? So after many years of me begging Kat, finally this year it seemed like the right thing to do, especially because we did move to PV for Anarchapulco this year. And we imported Vistara because we can't do Anarchawakening things without her. But also so many people expressed the craving to return to Bambuddha for retreat, including the team, right? And so we started over the last couple months of talks of figuring out what this looks like because we have you, we have Bearheart, and we have Paolo, and you guys have been working together. And we also have Piazza, who's been a big part of Anarchapulco, but not necessarily been involved with the Anarch Awakening stuff. And me and Kat were just like, let's bring it all together, and let's make something beautiful. And we've officially finished, well, I officially finished the sales page. We are officially promoting that. Come join us at Bambuddha. So I'm curious as to um, what is exciting you about the gratitude gathering and what is surprising you about, how it's forming and how you feel about it.
Well, what's exciting me is that yeah, really apart from the gratefulness and that it is in a way separate from Anarchapulco, but it is still together. And so Anarchapulco, Anarchawakening, and our community getting together. So it's exciting how things are evolving and moving, and how we can finally, yes, give it that specific space, a little bit apart from the whole main event, and exciting how that can maybe help other people move through in a different way, and surprised in a way how, yes, because Berhard and myself have been working all these years together in a specific way, and now surprised in a beautiful way how we're all co-creating together, and how this magical event is happening around Thanksgiving. It's just with a big thank you, thank you, thank you. It's just a huge opportunity to get together and be grateful for everything we have in our lives, and going through, if it's through deep ceremony, if it's working on trauma release, if it's whatever it is that you're being called to do in this retreat, there's going to be different ways of you to be able to navigate through it. So that's in a way not surprising, but in a way surprising, because when we get together, different energies get together, and different walks of life. That's why sometimes we call it the magic mystery retreat, because sometimes we don't even know what's coming out. Well, I mean, we know, but it has to be a surprise. It's like I even like saying that in class. I love the beginner's mind. The beginner's mind is like a child's mind, that is always surprised at what can happen and something new, because sometimes it feels like everybody already knows everything. So let's just stay with that beginner's beautiful, pure mind, and let us be surprised.
I agree with that. Part of the reason why we call it the gratitude gathering is yes, it's happening during Thanksgiving. It is, and I'll be making the Thanksgiving dinner on Thanksgiving. So we will be doing a
Yes.
traditional dinner. And I've sat with Bear in several ceremonies, and I've also worked with Piazza separately. And the big theme to all of this work, and the thing that Bear, for example, in ceremonies with Bufo, he's always told me, if it gets too intense, breathe deep and say thank you, thank you, thank you, and you'll be okay. And there's something true to that, because there is when we're in various ceremonies, be it in Temescal, be it in cacao ceremony, be it in yoga, there's going to be points where things feel intense, and having the gratitude just for the ability to feel the intensity instead of feeling numb, that in itself is a blessing. And that's why we kind of fashioned it around this. And you're mentioning the mystery retreat side of things. Some of the magical stuff that we've done in the staff retreats have not been things that we originally put in the itinerary. If I remember correctly, the last staff retreat we had at Bambuddha, the second Temescal ceremony was also kind of spare of the moment, a cacao ceremony. And I mean, for me in particular, it might have been more intense than the first ceremony I had because it was physically intense and I wasn't yelling, but I was very emotional, right? And I didn't expect that just simply adding in cacao along with it, right? And so we do have an itinerary we have things that we're offering. And the point is to be able to flow and adjust with what comes up for what people need, like sometimes people, we do have a couple Temescals planned. Sometimes they want less of a intense experience, a lighter Temescal for the last one. Sometimes instead of at sunset, maybe it's better at sunrise. Sometimes instead of doing yoga the morning after a Temescal, we go and we kayak to the lagoon and cover ourselves in mud. Like there's a lot of different things that can be done. And on the childlike note, I want to mention I will be offering aerial to anybody, aerial being like circus, trapeze and hammock, specifically aerial classes to anybody. And I know a lot of people look at what I do with that and they're like, I can't do that. And I'm just like, do you have hands?
Yes, you can.
Because if you have hands, you can do it. Like I've seen people without legs, I've seen morbidly obese people. Sorry about the beeping. I live not far from a busy road, but um, so I wanted to mention that because there is that playfulness that I can feel that's coming through for this retreat because we do have the structure, but it is also very, you know, open format in terms of like what can happen. But the point is community, the point is coming home to Bambuddha, and the point is experimentation and fun.
Yes, totally. I totally hear you. And that's it. Coming home, playing, let's play together. It's not, you have to participate in all the activities you can. And the breath, remember that when the going gets tough, it's breathing through it. So call it any of the activities that you can be participating in. If it's deep ceremony, if it's trauma release, if it's kayaking, if it's yoga, if it's temescal, if it's calling it just life, it's breathing through it. And
Right.
as we learn how to breathe correctly, the breath will take us through any difficult moment. And that's
Yeah.
also what I'm
And
sharing.
and I do want to mention an experience that I had in 2024 when, like 2023, I was dealing with that breakup and I was very much dealing with the incompatibility of that relationship that I was in. And so I came back to and we had a kayaking trip that year. And that whole time it was very much like I have a lot of experience kayaking. We were like this across the river because we couldn't flow together and work together. And so the next year we showed up because we do it at sunrise and we show up and Bearheart had his own kayak, but I was like, I want my own kayak. And he's like, you want it, sis? You go ahead and you do it. And then by the end of it, I was just like, like this is too much. I made it, but I made it late. And I just like I got there and Bearheart had ridden with Mike, and he's just like, so you can ride back alone if you want, or you can pick one of us to share a kayak with. And I was like, all right, Bear, I'm choosing you. And then the harmony of like going from being the person to arrive last because I wanted to go alone and like be strong to Bearheart and we were racing everybody. And we showed up back at the starting point first because there is something to, and that's part of why these group retreats are so special, especially with people within our community. There's something to learning to work together and flow together and not against each other. Because when you're kayaking in tandem with somebody, and if you're not on the same page and not listening to each other and communicating, that's when you're back and forth across the river and making it nowhere.
Yeah.
Um, and you can go it alone, but is it always worth it, right? So like even those things where it just seems like a fun thing to do, there is a journey in all of the little things that we end up embarking on at Bambuddha. And I wanted to mention that as a thing because it is that was a surprising lesson for me in terms of the kayak trips, for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, we're navigating this world together, and I like to see it as we're accompanying one another, and it's a lonesome journey. I mean, we are alone in our bodies, but we're accompanying one another. And so this is just a beautiful place to connect and accompany one another. while we're getting on with what we're getting on with out there and coming
Right.
together again.
Right. And you know, a lot of people because they see the chaos that Anarchapulco used to be in the early days. And then they see the coherence that we have more or less in the team now. And I'm often asked, like, what's the difference? And a big part of the difference is Kat and her leadership and her making us adhere to the four agreements, which is not taking things personally, don't make assumptions, always do your best, and be impeccable with your word, right? So we remember those things for the interpersonal stuff, but also it's partially that bonding as a team, you know, like when you're both crying and sweating and hugging the same palm tree or holding hands on the beach, you know, barely able to breathe, there's a bonding that happens there that wouldn't happen otherwise. And I think that's a big part of why Anarchapulco flows as well as it does as a team. So I do want to say thank you for the ways that you've opened up for us to because for me, I definitely really missed the retreat pre-event this year. I did have a ceremony with Piazza by just her and I, but I missed my time in Bambuddha before Anarchapulco this year, and I think it did have an effect on how we kind of got along. We all felt more separate this year. You know, there wasn't drama, but did we feel close the way we did every other year? Not necessarily.
Mm. Yeah. So hopefully we can bond that in this grateful gathering in November and set the stones for the beautiful next time we meet again in PV for
Yes.
February. We'll do all the gratitude, setting the stones.
Yeah, I
We'll have
agree with
another
that.
amazing event
I
next
agree with
February.
that. I do want to
Yeah.
talk a little bit about like ways to get involved with the gratitude gathering, because we tend to have different options for people available. And so we have basically three price levels for anybody watching. We have the um, single occupancy private room option. It's more expensive. You're staying completely by yourself, um, and that's it, right? There is the single person but shared occupancy in which you buy a ticket and you trust us to give you a roommate. You're not going to be, you know, sharing the same exact bed or something, but you will be sharing a space with somebody else. But you're also going to be getting to interact with and learn from somebody else. And then we have the couple option, which is obviously you're sharing a room with either a friend, you know, it doesn't have to be somebody you're in a romantic partnership with, or you can share it with your couple or even bring a parent or something like that and share the retreat that way. So there is a little bit of, you know, flexibility and options for people as far as that are concerned. And we do have a somewhat limited capacity. Um, we do have the ability to expand if need be, but we also do have a limited capacity because, you know, there is the neighboring property and Bambuddha only has 10 rooms, right? So that is something to be aware of. It's not going to be like Anarchapulco because there's just not as many people, right? But I think there is more of a capacity for magic because when there's too many people, do you really get the chance to connect? Do you really get the chance to sink into it and sink into the peace of the place? And I think I'm very excited for it. It is, for me, a dream come true, not just of having a retreat outside of Anarchapulco season, but also the people, you, Piazza, Bearheart specifically, are the people who have helped me the most in terms of like actually dealing with my shit, actually dealing with, you know, the victim mindset and the trauma brain and um that part of me that feels stuck, you know, because I do. I as long as I'm dealing with these legal issues, I'm working through those emotions. But when people ask me like, how are you okay? The first thing I say is like, if you're looking for a place to be okay, you should probably go to Bambuddha.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it's gonna serve you whatever you need. Be that tough love, be that tough love plus soft love, or just, you know, a place to breathe for a minute.
Yeah. And I'm here to accompany you all the way through it. So whatever you're going through out there, I'm prepared. We are prepared.
We are prepared, right?
We're-
And who knows, maybe in the future, this has, been a dream of mine, and you and I were talking about is to host like women's circus plus human design, get to know yourself, you know, events,
Yes,
like I love Anarchapulco, and I am starting to move into a yes and part of my life, and that I want to be curating my own experiences of this sort. And,
I
you
love
know,
it. Sounds
I'm
amazing. The
I'm
yes
very much
and is
looking
very
forward to it.
important.
Yeah.
Yes, the yes
Okay.
and is very important.
Right. Because you
Get
never
there.
grow if you don't try different things that might be difficult to set up or might not be what you're used to doing, but might bring the highest growth that you could ever expect to come from a situation.
Yeah, yeah, because we can't really close doors. It's like keeping doors open as to life experiences. And there's obviously so many and all the time. Obviously, we can put limits on it or say, okay, am I ready for it or not? Or where do I want to go with it? But I firmly believe for myself anyway, it's just consciousness all the way. And whatever doors are going to open, welcome. Going to welcome them as long as they are for the benefit of all beings. I mean, I firmly believe that. So whatever I think, say, and do is in total congruence. I am always aligned with that thought pattern for the higher good.
I agree with that completely. Well, I think we're going to wrap this up. I really thank you for taking the time to do this with me. I know you're super busy, and I'm so looking forward to seeing you. I am, as you know, working on my legal situation so I can come and just lay on the be beds on the beach and just exist for a little bit because I need it. I am
Receive.
I'm needing that vitamin B, and vitamin B being Bambuddha. So
Yes, yes, do that.
right.
Thank
So
you so
I
much
want to
for
say
your
thank
time.
you.
Yeah,
And I wish you to have a beautiful rest of your day.
you too. Thank you so much for your time and for everybody listening, and can't wait to see you very, very soon.
Much love, much
Much
love.
love. Thank you. Bye.